Winx came out a while ago, and to be completely honest, in my opinion, after season 3 or season 4, a lot of the plot and a lot of the girls' designs have been redone and retold. I mean, right now we're going to have another Winx remake, and you know what? It's time for the girls to retire. And I thought it would be fun if we Naruto the Winx series and give the girls a second generation. And by that I mean I'm going to draw what I think the girls' children, specifically daughters, would look like. Anyways, let's get started. We're going to start off with each group's leaders, which would be Bloom and Skye. I rewatched the available series in Amazon, and I'm going to admit there are lots of plot holes, and I don't think that's Winx's fault. I think that's Amazon not putting the right episodes in the right places, or there's missing episodes. I'm very certain that there are a lot of censorship in Amazon, because there's so many things that I remember about Winx and their episodes, and for some reason it's not in Amazon. So just take this with a grain of salt. But what I was going to say is that rewatching the series, I realized how many red flags there are in Bloom and Skye's relationship. I mean, let's be honest, the relationship basically started with a lie. Like at the beginning of the series, Skye and Brandon swapped personalities, and Bloom and Stella didn't even realize this until that particular event. I can't remember what that event was about, but these boys were basically on like a coliseum, and it's not until their coach or teacher called out their names that the girls realized that they were both swapped. And their reason for doing that is to basically match the girls' social status. So Skye didn't want to be a prince just because Bloom at the time wasn't thought to be a princess, and vice versa with Brandon and Stella. We'll get onto them a bit later on, but you know what? That was dodgy. Now, let's just push that all aside for the time being, because I am now going on a rant, and we're going to be focusing on their daughter's design now. Bloom has this kind of fiery flame structure onto her hair, and that's because her hair is kind of like semi-layered, which is why it looks like that. And I wanted to reciprocate that to her daughter's hair as well, which is why you could see that the bottom part of her hair is slightly layered to make it somewhat flame-like, just because I wanted to add Skye's design in there as well, so you could see that her top part of her head kind of resembles Skye's head a bit more. Sorry, what I was trying to say is hair, not particularly head, but we'll go on. I kind of feel like their daughter would be a daddy's girl, so I feel like Skye would train her, even though she's a fairy and they don't typically do any kind of physical training like sword fighting, those kind of things, but I feel like he would make her do that anyways. Which is why you could see that I gave her some slight armor on her shoulder, chest, and knees. You guys can also see that her outfit kind of resembles a mixture of Bloom and Skye's outfit. One thing that you guys will definitely notice is her hair color. You know what? Skye and Bloom's hair color are gorgeous, and I thought that it would be really cool if their daughter had a mixture of both their hair in a gradient way, which is why I did what I did there. Like her hair here looks like a candle flame, and I live for it. I think it looks absolutely gorgeous, and the fact that her outfit is a more cooler tone, kind of like how Bloom's outfit works. I love the contrast between the colors. And yeah, she does resemble Bloom a lot, but personality wise, I think, since Skye would definitely spoil her, I think she would definitely be overconfident, kind of like Stella, so I feel like she would get along with her auntie Stella quite a lot. Speaking of Stella, her daughter is up next. So let's talk about Stella and Brandon's relationship. And you know what? I did mention this earlier about Skye and Bloom's relationship starting off in a lie. It's not too different for Brandon and Stella, because Brandon has posed himself to be Prince Skye, which was obviously wrong. And he only did that because he thought that she wouldn't really date him if he wasn't a prince. And I'm gonna say this again. That is such a dodgy thing to do. I wouldn't accept that personally. But I love how our Queen Stella handled that so gracefully and so perfectly. If you guys remembered, she said that she would date him no matter what, and that her date with him, I think they were going to the cinemas or something, was still on. So she wasn't shallow at all. She's definitely not a shallow girl, at least when it comes to her relationships. And you know what? After that fiasco, their relationship is actually quite alright. It's perfectly healthy. Like, if you guys remember that time, I think they were doing their Enchantix thing. No, that's wrong. It was a completely different line. I can't remember when it was, but Stella was basically turned into this like monster. And even after seeing her in that state, Brandon, also our non-shallow king, accepted her for who she was, and he was willing to just kind of date her, even if she wasn't the Stella he knew her out to be in terms of appearance. So yeah, I mean, after the rocky start of their relationship, overall, their relationship was perfectly fine. I vouch for it. Now let's talk about their daughter's design, because it was wild for me to design her. Like, I was messing up so much. The first mess up I've done are those Harlequin tights. They are god awful. I really wanted her to have a very unique design, because to me, I feel like having a mum like Stella, who's a fashion queen, she would definitely have like a lot of unique styles, but I feel like this was a bit much. So you would see later on that I did remove those Harlequin leggings, tights, whatever they are. I removed them. They were way too much. They were definitely kind of out of character for what kind of character I thought her daughter would be. I basically wanted her to look kind of ethereal, which is why, you know, her wings are so nice and beautiful, diamond shape. I want her to look like she lived a life, or she lives a life of luxury. Now, appearance-wise, I did make her look like Brandon a bit more, because I wanted that really cool, chill girl vibe. Like, I guess she would still have the same interests and hobbies as her mum, but in terms of how she reacts to things, I feel like she would be a lot more cool-headed, a bit more tactful, a bit more organized. So she does look a lot like Brandon, and you can see that from like how I styled her fringe and how I colored her hair. She does look like a Winx version of Brandon a bit more, and I feel like that is something that needs to be added, just because Bloom's daughter is already going to resemble Stella's personality. We don't need another Stella, but we do need someone who can keep a cool head. Now we're moving on to, of course, my favorite character. I don't know if you guys already know this, but Techna is my favorite Winx character. She's literally such a baddie. I love her aesthetics and everything, and you know, all of her outfits from Enchantix to whatever, they're all really pretty, and I really love her aesthetics. So she's definitely one of my favorite characters. For her love interest though, Tim, I have to say, I've got nothing to say about him. I don't really know much about him, and I don't remember much about him in the series, aside from the fact that he's like a tech nerd, kind of like Techna, but not as cool. I'm sorry. In terms of their relationship, I thought it was quite alright though. Like, there was nothing inherently wrong with it. I believe that their relationship started off as a friendship due to shared interest with technology, and then it just kind of blossomed into a romantic relationship, which I thought was quite alright. Also, I lied. I do remember something about Timmy. From what I can remember, he is quite a rational guy compared to the other guys in there. Like, Helia was good, he was understanding, a bit of a miscommunication here and there. Nabu, can't remember much about him. I'll talk about him a bit later on, but like, a lot of the times, Timmy tends to be the rational one. So, I mean, out of all the boys, I think he's one of the best. Now, in terms of their daughter's design, I'm not sure if you guys know, but Techna has a mum, and she's not a robot. Her name is Mngo.tea, and she looks sick as hell. I love her design, and I thought, you know what? You know how some kids resemble their grandparents a lot more than their parents? I thought that it'd be really cool if we have that situation with Techna's daughter. So you would see a little bit later on that in terms of her coloring and color palette, she would look or resemble Mngo.tea a lot more. You guys might notice, right, the boots. They're quite wide, they're quite strange looking. How did you come up with that? Well, you know what? You know Uraraka from My Hero? She has boots that are similar like that, and I thought, you know what, that's a very futuristic design, and I kind of took it, but I'm going to change that a bit later on. Don't worry, I'm going to keep the structure of it, but in terms of the design, I'll explain a little bit later on, because it's going to be cool. Hair wise, I basically just kind of looked at Techna's hair, made it a little bit longer, but that's what her daughter's hair is going to be like as well. I thought it was a really cool design. And when I was designing her outfit in general, I was thinking I need this to be futuristic, and in my head, futuristic is something sleek and ergonomic, which is why she has this kind of like bodice fit. Speaking of that though, I completely just forgot that her wings is not very aerodynamic at all. Like, Techna would be very disappointed with those pairs of wings. But I can't change that right now, so we're going to move on to the coolest part of her outfit, which are these lava lamp features. I don't know why, but I really thought that lava lamps are really cool and futuristic, so I added that onto her outfit, on her chest area and on her boots as well. And I feel like that as she grows as a fairy and as she gets stronger, so when she gets her enchantix and whatever charmix, whatever they are, that lava lamp feature will integrate into her design a bit more. Like maybe in the future she will have a lava lamp type wings instead. So now we're moving on to, I believe, is one of the most complicated relationships in Winx, at least in my opinion. So let's backtrack in here, because I'm trying to remember how River, whatever his name was, back when I was a child, like when I was watching the original series in Nickelodeon. And from my memories, he was such a unlikable boy. Like, even as a child, I did not like him. I did not like seeing him in the series, and every time I see him in an episode, I roll my eyes to the back of my head. But then when I was watching the Winx series in Amazon, I swear in my life that there are some parts in there that are cut off, you know, like it's so dodgy. Like, I swear they nerfed him a little bit so that he's not as harsh as he was in the original series. So I've got a clip. To explain the scene, I think they were like in some sort of race or whatever, and Riven is the only one there who's basically third wheeling because he didn't have a girl to cheer him on, whilst Skye had Bloom and Brandon had Stella, so on and so forth. So Brandon was kind of shitting on him. And in his response, in the Amazon version, he said he can have any girl he wants.
Hey Riven, who's cheering for you? Stella's cheering for me, Bloom's cheering for Brandon, but you don't have anyone. I can have any girl I want.
Not gonna lie, looking back at that really confused me, because him not having girls is not the point of the conversation. The point of the conversation was him not having a cheerleader, even though he was seeing Musa. That was the point of the conversation. So my point is that his response to that is a little bit weird, a bit out of context. Whereas in the original version, I actually found a clip of the originals in YouTube, and his response to that was a lot more savage.
Who's gonna be rooting for you, Riven? Bloom's rooting for Brandon, Stella's rooting for me. Where's your cheerleader? I don't need one, dude, unlike you.
So the difference between the first clip and the second clip is that Riven was so much more harsh towards Brandon. So the first clip was just him saying, I can get any girl I want, whilst the second clip was a direct hit to Brandon. So that's kind of my point, that for some reason, it's not just me, I hope, that Amazon kind of nerfed him down a little bit, so my perception of him now rewatching is a little bit off. So just going off from my memory of him and Musa when I was younger is that he's very, very absent as a boyfriend, to the point where I found it really difficult to understand whether or not they were together or whether it's just a one-sided crush from Musa's side. And even when they seemed like they were an actual official couple, he was still so cold and harsh towards her. It was so difficult to watch because she's there trying to make her moves, trying to make him happy, and he just kind of grunts and gets grumpy. But you know what? Even if he does become the Scrooge of all characters in Winx, like he ends up even more grouchy and whatever not, I feel like Musa will still like him no matter what, so that's why, you know, they'll end up being together no matter what. Anyways, let's move on from that and actually talk about their daughter's character design. I don't know why, but looking at Musa and Riven's design, just as a character design, not taking into consideration their personality or anything like that, for some reason I thought you know what? If they do have a child together, she will definitely be like maybe an alternative style girl. When we watched the series, right, we had a lot of different girls who have varying personalities, varying styles, and I really like to have that, you know, keep going at that with the next generation, and have the next generation to have the styles and personalities of next generation girls. So right now in the modern days we do have alternative girls, so I feel like Musa and Riven's daughter will definitely be into alternative fashion. I feel like we do need a bitchy girl in the group, and when I mean bitchy girl, I don't mean like bitchy like Stella, because she was bitchy but in a different way. We need a bitchy girl. We need to have someone who has the sharp tongue and wit as Riven. I feel like that would be an interesting dynamic, and I feel like she would fit that dynamic. She would be an old girl who's sharp-witted, who's like not a tsundere like her dad, never like her dad like that, but like she's way too cool. I recently watched K-pop Demon Hunters in Netflix, and I feel like if she were to have a personality, it would definitely be like Mira's personality. That's what I think. Also, for her hair, I know that Musa is known to have the like pigtails, and I think it's really cute, but I feel like she would definitely have like just a short bob. And you know what, I did have Mavis from Hotels Transylvania in mind when it comes to her hair, and I thought that would be really cute because her dad's hairstyle, I don't know why, it reminds me of like an upside down heart or an onion. So I thought if I turned that upside down, it would kind of resemble her hair, which it did, like at least for the fringe part. Color palette wise, she basically has Musa's color palette, but a lot more darker and a lot more reds than there are cool tones, because Musa has like not a black hair, but she has like this really dark blue hair. I feel like with her hair, she would have Riven's hair, and she would kind of style it with different colors. That's why you could see highlights in there. And I feel like I should have gone a bit more route, since I wanted her to have an alternative style. I was so, not afraid, but I was a bit hesitant in giving her a more darker look, just because she's supposed to be a fairy and I didn't want her to stray off of that, but I feel like I should have taken that risk. And I feel like I should have given her like maybe a darker outfit or a black outfit, just so that she stands out a bit more. Before I start off with this section, I realized that I can hear some clickings in my earlier audio for this video. Ignore that. My boyfriend's currently playing right now, so you will hear and you would have heard a lot of clicking, so I'm so sorry. I don't have the correct editorial skills to remove that, so you guys might just need to bear with it for a little while. Anyways, we have Flora and I forgot his name, Helia, I think it might be one of those, but you know what? Everyone can agree that they have the healthiest relationship. There was that one time where there was like a misunderstanding because Helium was like talking to another girl in front of Musa. Can't remember who she was, but she's probably not relevant, and I'm pretty sure it was a misunderstanding because he loves her and only her. So yeah, aside from that, they're both quite solid when it comes to their relationship. I still remembered, like, before Aisha came into the group, I remembered feeling so sad for Flora, because she was she was the only girl at that time who didn't have a love interest. Like, we obviously knew that Skye, Bloom, Brandon, and Stella were together. They were kind of like the main quadruple couple. Following that, we had like the mess with Musa and Riven, but we knew that they were going to get together, and then eventually we kind of figured out that Techna and Tim were kind of a thing. So having Flora be the last person, the last girl to have a relationship, was so sad for me at the time, because I remembered going, oh my god, she's like 6-weeding. But you know what, it was so worth it. It was so worth for her to wait for a guy who can actually appreciate her and who did nearly nothing wrong to her and kind of praised her as a queen for what she should be. Like, their relationship started off in pure puppy romantic love, you know, and that's just the purest thing, that's just the cutest thing, and I love that for her. I have a slight headcanon for Helium. So you know how he's an artist, right? I feel like he would figure out what kind of flowers and plants she likes the most, and then he would draw those and send it to her while she's in Althea. I feel like that's something that they would definitely do, and I think it's cute. Maybe there was a scene about that, but I can't remember, but I feel like that would be really cute to do. Anyways, for their daughter's design, I really wanted her to be a carbon copy of Flora, so that's why you could see that she has that really long, slightly waved hair, and then she has like basically her eyes. I think Flora has green eyes, I can't remember, but I thought she did when I zoomed in. So she has that as well, and of course her outfit, petals and lotuses. I feel like I've done Helium dirty just because I didn't make their daughter look like him at all, but that's fine because, you know, biologically speaking, there's a chance for your child to look more like one parent than the other, so I'm going to use that as an excuse. I mentioned lotus earlier, but that's because her like top is basically a lotus, and I thought that was so pretty. I wanted her outfit to resemble her mum's outfit because, again, she's going to be one of those kids that is basically a carbon copy of one of their parents. Flora's outfit is quite modernized, like it kind of looks like a casual club outfit. So for her daughter's outfit, I did go for a bit more of a whimsical garden fairy type vibe, which I thought was really cute. Right, so we got onto our final couple, and I can already hear all the comments. Nabu is dead, Nabu is dead. I know he's dead, but you know what? I'm gonna have a theory, right? I'm gonna have a headcanon that he comes back to life and it'll all be fine. And you guys need to let me live this lie because I was so upset when he went, you know? I cannot believe that out of all the guys that could have gone, it was him. I was so upset, and I'm still really upset, and I'm especially upset for Ayesha. That scene where she was crying out for him was so traumatic for me. Like, it still makes me really upset whenever I see it. So we're going to have an alternate universe where he's alive, or he came back to life, or turns out he wasn't dead at all. Let me live this lie. And you know what? They lived happily ever after, and they have a daughter. From what I could remember, I think that Nabu and Ayesha had an arranged marriage, or was going to have an arranged marriage. They were engaged. And at first, Ayesha was kind of defiant against it. And, you know, I guess they kind of grew to like each other. Rocky start, I would say. But you know what? They grew to love each other. And turns out he was a green flag. So I guess it all worked out in the end until, you know. Anyways, let's talk about her daughter's design. So as you guys can see, I made her hair texture a bit more like Nabu's hair texture. I can't really tell what his hair is supposed to be. I initially thought it was supposed to be braids or dreadlocks, but then, you know, as I was looking through his character design, I got a bit more confused. And you know what? I just went with it. I just tried to copy his hairstyle, particularly from like the scalp area a bit more, and went ahead with it. In terms of the bottom part of her hair, you could see that Ayesha's hair is a bit more curled up, and I tried to imitate that as much as I could. And you know what, like the slick back hair is actually so sick. I love that. And it kind of reminds me of, you know, how, I don't know if you guys know about this, but like beach hairstyles where it's kind of like slick back and stuff. I thought that was really cool. I'm not sure if you guys noticed this, but did you guys notice that for all the princesses I've drawn, they all have their little crowns in their head? I wonder if you guys noticed that. And I definitely wanted her outfit to be a bit more different because remember, well, I'm not sure if I remember correctly, but like she is part mermaid, or at least some of her family is mermaid, so I thought that it made sense that her design should have some mermaid in it. So I was a bit disappointed in Winx in the original series when she was outed to be related to mermaids and there isn't anything mermaid about her. So her daughter's going to have those traits, at least in her fairy form. So I gave her these leggings that have like scales, mermaid textures onto them. And in terms of her outfit, it kind of resembles her mum quite a lot. And I made it kind of look like they were seaweed wrapped around her because I thought that was cool. You guys might also notice that she has like these pearls across her chest, her waist and her hair. And I thought that was such a cute thing to add, kind of like she's the pearl of her parents' eyes, and I feel like that would be a really cute addition. It just makes her a bit more sparkly and makes her quite ethereal looking. And you guys will notice a bit later on, I can't remember where I put it, but on her hair and on her arms I put like glowing things. I'm not explaining that very well, but basically, yeah, you could see it in here. I kind of added like some glowing planktons onto her hair, and her arm will have like some sort of glowing patterns on it. I thought that was so cool. The reason why I did that is because I thought she should be like the fairy of the deep sea, so she would definitely have some bioluminescent aspect of her design, because I thought that would be so cool. And imagine her, like her entire body and design glowing in the dark. Perhaps I should have made her color palette a little bit darker in terms of like her outfit to resemble the deep sea, but maybe that's kind of a redesign in the future, because I feel like it's a bit too light for a deep sea fairy. But yeah, you know, who knows. Well, that's all I have for today. Thank you so much to everyone who's watched this far, and don't forget to like and subscribe if you want more videos like these in the future. Let me know who your favorite second gen fairy is down below, and I'll see you all next Mango Monday. Bye!